Okay, Rabbi Say, welcome, Shovavim. Beautiful, Torah Matzah Shabbos. We're going to focus the first part of the shiur at least on Yoledes and Muberes, some topics which they don't teach you so much during chassan class, so to speak, but l'maisa they are negeya, very negeya, and a lot of confusion. But one thing is, unlike last week, which I think there was tons of confusion in Vestaguf, but I think there should be clarity. This is a sugya where I understand why there's confusion, because you'll see in a second. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the big question first. The big question is, when a woman is in labor, at what point does she become a niddah? What's the trigger? So let's open up our Shulchan Aruch, Yeridea, right? And let's see what it says. So we open Kuf Tzadi Dalet of Yeridea, which discusses pregnant woman and all the halachas of dam toyer, dam tameh, afterwards, etc., and see what it says. So we'll open up the Yeridea, and it only has two cases that it discusses. There's one din that's discussed in general, which we call im psichas hakever below dam, which means that the rechem, the uterus, doesn't open up without blood coming out. So when there's something called psichas hakever, when there's the opening of the uterus, whatever that means, so at that point we know that there is dam that comes out, and therefore the woman is tameh. Okay, and sometimes that's negeya outside of childbirth. It could be negeya by certain medical things that happen, etc. Where ein psichas hakever b'lo dam, she's automatically niddah. Okay, so let's see, what does it say in Yeridea? So it says there's two cases that are brought down in the Shulchan Aruch. One is that if the baby sticks his hand or her hand out and then back in, she's tameh. So guys, it's pretty far along it's pretty far along the labor. The second case that's discussed is when the woman's in the middle of labor and they hear the voice of the baby. I don't know exactly how this works, and it sounds like the chashash is because we're choshish that the baby somehow stuck his head out and back in. Pretty far along the labor path, you know what I'm saying? By the time that we're getting there, that's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. So it doesn't say anything else. Now, if you would ask me, the poskim didn't ask me, but if the poskim would have asked me, I would have said, okay, so she is only a niddah, mamish at the end. Once something has come out, a hand, a suffix head, or something like that, that's when she would be a niddah. That's what I would have said. If you would just give me a Shulchan Aruch with nothing else, that's what I would say. But l'maisa, the poskim didn't ask me, so that's not what they say. Now, actually the truth, I can't say that's not what the poskim say, because the Noidim Yehuda and the Chavas Das, that is what they say. There's going to be another Gemara, we'll jump to the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch in Shin Lamed, in Hilchos Shabbos, Mishnah Brura, where it says that at what point could you go and be mechalel Shabbos for a woman in labor? Now nowadays we're mechalel Shabbos much earlier because we're mechalel Shabbos to get to the hospital. This is not talking about to get to the hospital. This is talking about a woman who is where she needs to be, but she's in labor. At what time are you allowed to be mechalel Shabbos? And it says by psichas hakever. And what's the psichas hakever? The psichas hakever is three examples that are brought in the Gemara and make it to the Shulchan Aruch. The three examples are when the woman can't walk, when the woman's on the birthing bed, and when the woman is dripping blood. So that sounds pretty late, but l'maisa the Darchei Tshuva, the Piskei Tshuva brings the Nachlas Shiva, who says that those dinim of Shabbos, if that's when you can be mechal Shabbos, at those points, those are the same things that determine what psichas kever is when it comes to when the woman's in niddah. So we make a little gzeir shava, psichas kever. Psichas kever of Hilchos Shabbos is these three things. So too psichas kever, making the woman in niddah, is when she can't walk by herself, when she goes in the birthing bed, and when she's dripping blood. So that's what we learn out. Now, as I said, the Noidim Yehuda and the Chavas Das say, no. You're comparing apples and oranges. That's when it comes to Hilchos Shabbos. That's one din, and niddah is a different din, and therefore they don't. They're much more lenient. L'maisa, the poskim go with this nachlas shiva, and we say that the woman, when she reaches any of these 3 points, she's considered a niddah. Now, once again, that seems pretty far along the way when she can't walk. And by the way, the pashtus of can't walking is going to be that she can't walk when she's not having a contraction. When she's having a contraction, so, all right, she can't walk when she's having a contraction. She also can't walk if she's holding 300 pounds of stuff. Or if you grab onto her and she can't walk, then she can't walk also. It means, can't walk, l'chayra means that she can't walk. So when she's not, you're going to judge when she's not in the middle of the contraction, is the pashtus. I know there are poskim that want to say otherwise, but it's certainly not the pashtus. Certainly the pashtus is whether she can walk when she is not in the middle of a contraction. Okay, so fine. Now, there's a couple of points which are a little bit debatable, but it's very hard to understand where any of the poskim are going to come from to have any of these chumras. Right, from what I said right now, there's nobody that discusses anything to be more machmir than what I just said from all the earlier akronim. You won't see a chachmas adam, a aruch shulchan, darchei tshuva, anything that's going to be, say, a shachataz or whatever, that add on any chumrah beyond what we just said right now. So far, until the last 60, 70 years, we don't see anything. Okay? Now, there's something that Payson discussed, when the mucus plug comes out. So it comes out at different times, different women, etc. Some women that come out, 30 hours before. Some women that come out 3 seconds before. Each to their own. So is the woman a niddah when the mucus plug comes out? The mucus plug is just like there's some, mucus that has been accumulated, and eventually there's some pressure coming from the baby, and it comes out. So if there's no blood on the mucus plug, there's kamat. Huh?
The same as water breaking?
No, it's not the same. We'll get to the water breaking in a minute. So some people even know, but some people don't, depending on each woman. There's some women that the mucus plug comes out 30 hours before, and it's a whole shayla, whereas other women, it comes out 3 seconds before the baby, and it's not even a big discussion. So some people have this knowledge of this concept, and some people don't. But when the mucus comes out, there's guk that comes out. So the pashtus is that does not make the woman a niddah, and that is. But sometimes there may be blood on it. So if the blood on it is going to be less than a gris, the poskim are going to be meko. If it's going to be more than a gris, so ask a shayla, there's definitely going to be poskim that are going to be machmir. A lot of poskim that will be machmir if it's more than a gris of dam that's on the mucus plug. However, the other ones, without getting too involved in this, but apparently the medical metzias behind it is the blood that's on the mucus plug is not uterine blood. It's not real dam niddah. And therefore, it's a discussion whether or not that should be mitamiyu with the kesem, and there's a whole shayla whether the mucus is something that's makabel tuma or not. I don't really know that studim, but I know it's a shayla. Okay.
This is 100% going to be blood from the uterus. So
no, not from the uterus. They say the medical metzias is it's not uterus.
I'm asking, what is how is it?
Cervix blood.
Yeah, it's literally from uterus. So what was it?
No, it's not from the uterus. I'm saying the blood's actually from the cervix, not from the uterus. Uterus is higher up, cervix is lower, closer to the exit. So that blood, apparently the medical metzias claims that blood is not actually uterine blood. I don't have an opinion, but that's what I read. Fine. So Lemaisa, if there's no blood, we're going to be makel. If there is blood, if it's under a gris, we're going to be makel. If it's more than a gris, so you're going to ask a shayla. It's definitely going to be more of a tzad to be machmir if it's above a gris. Okay? Now, next, water breaking. Does water breaking make a woman a niddah? So think about it. Does it fit into any of the kolim that we just discussed? We have 3 simanim of psichas hakever that we're machmir to use the simanim from Hilchos Shabbos. Does water breaking make any of those simanim? And don't tell me because water could come out. Because the uterus is always open a little bit. Not a lot, but it's always, you can't say any opening in the kever makes her a niddah, because then she will always be a niddah forever. Because there always is a little bit of opening, enough for liquid to come out. Liquid comes out. So she's not always a niddah. So the fact that water came out, who cares?
She doesn't have a status of being on the bed at that point, because that's what.
If she is on the bed, if she's there. Well, no, lav dafka, each to their own. There's a lot of women, they'll have, their water will break at home, and they'll be like, oh, we got to go to the hospital, and they could still walk perfectly fine. So if the woman could walk perfectly fine, a lot of the different women, some women will often give birth 12 hours after their water breaks, 15 hours after their water breaks. Some women, they'll give birth 10 minutes after their water breaks. It's so it's definitely not a mukhrach proof that they're about to give birth. So this woman, if she could still walk after her water broke, and she could still walk, so l'chayr, there's no good reason to say that she should be a niddah. No good reason. And the one thing is, some of the poskim say you should check the water to see if there's blood in the water. Now, what does that mean to check? What do you have to do? So the pastors, that's something that I heard from Rabbi Callis and I heard from Rabbi Borowski, two people that I listened to shiurim from in Hilchos Niddah. You have a cheskes tahara still now, right? And there's no reason to be choishish. Most of the time, the high majority of the time, there's no blood in the water when the water breaks. I don't know the exact numbers, but 90% of the time, there's no blood. So therefore, you have no right to close your eyes and say, I'm gonna clean up this water and I'm not gonna look at it because maybe there's blood. If it's in front of you, but you don't need to take out a magnifying glass, the chayr, to check to try to find blood and use a white tap. If you see blood, problem. If you don't see blood, so you have no reason to be choishish that there was blood in the water when the water broke. So often it's going to be, depending on where you were at that moment, it's often going to be very, very complicated to check that water to find out if there was blood. So, if that's the case where it's very complicated, then you're good, and you would be fine even if the water broke. There are some that I think the Shevet Levi, by the way, I just want to tell you what I'm saying right now isn't l'kul yalma. I believe the Shevet Levi says that the woman is tamei from when the water breaks. So there are places that say this. I'll tell you what I was makabel from Rabbi Kals and from Rabbi Borowski that she is not tamei. And in Svara, why in the world would you say she's tamei? It's very hard to understand why the Shevet Levi would be machmer in such a matzav. Okay. Now, there's other things that the poskim discuss. Some poskim discuss when she is dilated X amount of centimeters, 2 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 7 centimeters, 6 centimeters. There's some of these different shmuas going around. That means that that's psichos hakever, and therefore she is tamei. Once again, this is very difficult to understand. First of all, let's just call a spade. Dilated is how dilated the cervix is. Kever is the uterus. So we're not talking, just to be clear, we're not talking about the same thing. You could, there's two separate body parts. So therefore, the just because you have the dilated cervix isn't a raya brura. Obviously, there's a connection, but it's not going to be a raya brura that the uterus is dilated. Yeah.
I don't know if the uterus dilates like that.
No, the uterus doesn't dilate. That's what I'm saying.
No. You're saying as a mitzvah, it could be that you have dilation lower down and the uterus is closed?
I'm saying when a woman's about to give birth, they're both opening up. But the measurement and the discussion, what they're measuring, 2, 5, 7, that's a measurement of the cervix. That's not a measurement of the uterus. So therefore, that's not going to be. It's not like in theory, if they could measure the uterus, then there might be what to say. The uterus is X amount of centimeters open, in theory. But that's not what's going on when they tell you how dilated you are. When they tell you how dilated you are, they're telling you how dilated the cervix is, not the uterus. Okay, beseder. Well, we'll hack it out later in greater detail. But bekitzer, it's definitely going to be something which is a simon. Meaning, if a woman's 10 centimeters dilated, she's not walking nowhere. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a siba. It's certainly not a siba. It could be a simon. But it's not fair to say 5 centimeters. If a woman's dilated 5 centimeters, then she is tamei. Because a woman on her first kid, if she's dilated 5 centimeters, she probably and most likely cannot walk at that point, and she probably is considered a niddah. Once again, most of the time, statistically. But a woman who's on her 7th kid will often be 5 centimeters dilated and have no problem walking around. So it's just the Metzias point that you can't use that 5 centimeter point and make a klal, because tachas, could she walk around or could she not walk around? What position is she in? Is she at the I need a push point, or is she not at the I need a push point? So therefore it's hard to say klal. By the way, when I say need a push point, that's simply the meaning of on the birthing bed. The birthing bed is when she's up to pushing, so to speak. That's the birthing bed. That's when she's getting ready to give birth. So if she could walk, Ladugma, if she's 5 centimeters dilated and she could walk and she's not pushing, she's for sure fine. Okay, next. Now, fine. If they do internal checking to see how dilated she is, that does not make her tummy. That's not considered psichos kaver. If they do, what is it called again? Stripping, what they call internal stripping, to go and not exactly induce, but move the process on. That usually will make a woman into a niddah. So when they do it, if they're just checking, no. But if they're doing stripping, they're messing around, they're pushing around, trying to get things along. That generally, the doctor who does that will stick their finger pretty far up, and that will usually go up all the way into the uterus, and therefore that would be a issue of psichos kaver b'ladam, and she would be tameh. Just to be clear, when a woman's not about to give birth, any of those types of things with a finger, the woman's always going to be tar, because normally in a non-about to give birth matzav, a doctor's finger can't get far enough to get to the uterus. But when a woman's about to give birth, they could. Just a metzias point. Okay, fine. So tachas. So when is she a niddah? Because I'm busy talking about all the times when she's not a niddah. So she's a niddah when she can't walk. If she can't walk, she's a niddah. Now, often she's going to be in a matzav where she's not holding by walking because she's on the bed, she's this, whatever. So where's the point? So it's, if she's having her contractions every 2 to 3 minutes, she probably cannot walk at that point, and she most likely is a niddah at that point. If it's every 5 minutes her contractions, so usually she will be able to walk, but sometimes it depends. If she's having nice gesunta minute and a half contractions every 5 minutes, and she's holding where she can't walk, then she's a niddah. So you can't really that's part of the reason why some of the poskim throw out these numbers, because it's not, if you don't learn the sugya, it's hard to just pinpoint it at a point. Because it's when she's in the matzav where she can't walk anymore, or when she's in the matzav she has to push, or if she's in the matzav where she's dripping blood. Any of those three, that's what the Gemara says, which is pretty far along the line. Okay, I think that's that for that. Okay. Now, one thing also to point out is, even if she is a niddah, you got to realize doesn't become a regular woman. She becomes a chayla. Now, there's kulas in Hilchos Niddah for a chayla. She's certainly a chayla. I mean, you're telling me that she can't walk and she's a chayla, right? And she might even be a chayla sheyesh b'sakana. But okay, so what's the halacha with chayla? The halacha with chayla is that if there's somebody else around that could do things for her, then let somebody else do it. So if there's the midwife, the doula, the mother-in-law who's there, who's going to be able to help out, so let them do it, and you shouldn't do anything. Stay away. But if it's you don't have a doula, you don't have this, you're in an Israeli hospital, nobody's there to help you, they're they're doing 40 in a row, back to back births over there, so you could help her. But in which ways? So the halachas that are the low-level halachas, like serving, like nigia al yidei davar acher, meaning if you use a glove or something, or definitely a beged, you could sit her up, you could put her down, you could serve her a cup of water, you could do those types of basic harchakas will be allowed. You can't give her a hug for emotional support, that's the big no-no. But the basic service, or nigia al yidei davar acher, touching her with even a glove, that would be allowed for her as a chayla. So if that's what needs be, that would be allowed. Okay. Yeah, so putting her in a wheelchair, it happens to be, it's not even so pashut that it's usher. We don't do it. If there's somebody else to do it, let somebody else do it. But if there isn't, you could do it.
And pushing her shouldn't be a problem either.
Pushing her, it might be negia al yidei davar acher. That's the worst that you could get her. Which for a chayla is allowed. If there's nobody else available, you could do it. Yeah? But if her mother's there, then her mother should do it, Okay. And now, huh?
One or two. Down the line, the mother stuff.
Yes. Okay. So very good. Now I'll get a little bit of a controversial hak. Okay. should the husband be in the delivery room? So you have the Minchas Yitzchak who says Asur Gomor for the husband to be in the delivery room. You're not allowed to see your wife when she's in Niddah in an unsneous fashion, in an undressed fashion. She's undressed in the delivery room. You can't be there. It was the Minchas Yitzchak. Rav Shlomo Zalman says it's mutter, but it's mias. It's not asur, but it's a disgusting thing to do. Rav Moshe Feinstein says, I don't know of any isser. Bring me a Shulchan Aruch. It doesn't say anywhere that it's asur. No problem. Why should it be a problem? Where's the isser? Because, we generally don't have like a surah. Like, don't go somewhere where you might see your wife who's not dressed properly during Niddas. There's no such din. And therefore, it is perfectly fine. So what should one do? And these, by the way, camps are... But there are different camps that believe very strongly in their opinions on this.
Someone was saying the very situation, not the sofek. The situation itself is mias, or the sofek is mias.
So it's mias for you to go to a place where there's, so to speak, isurim for you all around. That's how I understood Rav Shlomo Zalman. There's no isser, meaning he's being masking with Rav Moshe that there's no isser. So it's mutter. But it's a disgusting thing to put yourself in a place where there's isurim all around. That's how Rav Shlomo Zalman puts it. So what? If they have a curtain.
Right.
So I was thinking about that. I was thinking that l'chayru Rav Shlomo Zalman, if they have a curtain to block off any unsneous whatever, so l'chayru Rav Shlomo Zalman would say it's fine. I don't know about the Minchas Yitzchak, but l'chayru Rav Shlomo Zalman would say it's fine. Okay, so l'maisa. What's l'maisa? So if once again we're talking about a chayla sheyesh by sakana right now. We view a woman giving birth as a chayla sheyesh by sakana. If you think that your wife thinks, or you think that she thinks that she will benefit from you being there, giving her chizuk, being there, her companion through it. So to me, it's pashut. I mean, once again, you don't have to ask me, but to me, it's pashut that, yeah, you should be there. If you're going to be giving chizuk and helping out, a chayil sheish sakana, then I think it should be pashut that you should be there. Now, if the woman isn't, it's my seventh kid, I know how to do this, I know the midwife, it's nice, it's not so geferlach, right? So then you have to choose your party line. In America, it's the davar pashut, you'd be there. Well, you're a good husband, you go, you give chizuk, you're a partner in this, you're there. If you're in Israeli Haredi society, you do not go in there. That's not. Why would a husband go in there? That's not for a husband to be. What are you thinking? That's wild. That's crazy. What are you, Chileni? Or American?
American. That's the concept.
So personally, I think I have no problem with it. I think because in Svara, I agree with the Moshe, l'chayra from the Sugya. That's what it sounds like. I mean, I'm not here to argue in the Minchas Yitzchak. I'm just saying that Moshe is the Pashas of the Sugya. Now, you should go and, look the other way, have a curtain, whatever. And I think, I don't have a problem with it personally, but once again, this is a part of the famous shayla of which team do you want to pick yourself on. If you want to be on the Israeli Haredi team, so this is not for you. But from halacha, I think it's okay. Okay. Also, by the way, the Israeli women have no havamina that their husband will be in the delivery room with them. Whoever heard of such a crazy thing? So Memela, since that's the Metzias, there's no feeling of my husband should be here. But if your wife is from Chutz La'aretz with like them and their family with the whole expectation that you should be there, so that's more reason for you to be there. Yeah, fine. Now that's what I would say Lamaisa. Okay, weiter. Does a woman need to keep vestes during pregnancy? So usually, right, not so negea, right? But we'll see one or two cases where it will be. Does a woman need to keep vestes during pregnancy? So the Shulchan Aruch says a woman is mesulekas dam during pregnancy. She's considered somebody who has no blood, and therefore she doesn't have to keep vestes. But the Shulchan Aruch says that that's only true once she's been pregnant for 3 months. Because during the first 3 months, she sees blood. What does it say? Yeah, that's what it says. So Rav Kiva Eger already said, what does it say? The Metzias already by Rav Kiva Eger, somewhere between the Shulchan Aruch and Rav Kiva Eger, so from 400 years ago to 200 years ago, that Metzias changed. And Rav Kiva Eger's like, I don't know, we don't see blood. But Rav Kiva Eger's still machmer. Ramosha comes along, Mishana Tvayim, there's not the Metzius anymore, don't worry about it. Bekitzer. Lamaisa, it's not very negea anyways. Because why is it not negea? When does a woman usually know that she's pregnant? After she passed her vestos, she didn't get her period, she checks, she realizes that she's pregnant, and her vestos already passed. So it's not really an issue. When is it negea? It's negea 2 times. It's negea a woman that has a ves kavua, because a woman who has a ves kavua has to be choshish for it 3 times. Right? And it's negea by a woman that's the type that's always consistently checking herself whether she's pregnant. Because if it's a woman who's always checking if she's pregnant, then she'll know that she's pregnant before she gets to the vestas. And Mamela, for her, there's an afkamina. Lamaisa, right with the poskim, we're going to say that you have to be choshish during those 3 months, and you will be choshish for those 3 months. However, no chumras. Okay, so you're choshish without all the chumras. Fine. Next shayla. Inducing labor. Is it okay to induce labor? So, first of all, if it's related to sakana, the baby is under stress, and if we don't do it now, there's going to be some problem or whatever, obviously you could induce the labor.
What should be the problem? What could be the problem with that?
The baby has the umbilical cord around the... I'm going to get in a second to what the problem is, yeah? But I'm just off the bat. If it's sakana, whatever. Now, half the time that it's sakana, it's because the doctor wants to go. He wants to go on vacation tomorrow, and he doesn't have time for this. And there's a football game on. The problem is that we do not know when the doctor says the baby's under stress and we need to induce. We do not know if that means the baby's under stress and we need to induce, or there's a football game later.
Doctor's under stress.
Yeah, so because the doctor says the same thing. He'll say the baby's under stress, we need to induce. So we're not privy to the information whether the baby has umbilical cord around the neck and is really under stress or whatever, or there's in 4 hours from now there's a big football game. So
An honest doctor?
I'm saying the doctor were instructed to rely on him.
we have to rely on him. Whatever. We don't know. A lot of people will tell you that a lot of times, when the doctors say it, they and it's true. Because when it becomes your profession, if you're not interested in every day being busy and being stuck there late and pain in the neck, So they say these things. The only thing is, we do not know. So if the doctor says the word, the baby's under stress, we induce. Because we don't know if he's lying or not. Just, that's just the Matthias. Fine.
Possible problem with that would be?
So the problem. So I'll get there in 1 second. So what is the problem? So Ramosha Feinstein in Eretz Yisrael they don't like inducing. Rav Yasha was against it. I'll explain the reason in a second. And Ramosha Feinstein was very against it. Ramosha Feinstein said that you're in a matzav of sakana. The woman who's giving birth is in a matzav of sakana, and this is they're under the mazel that they're supposed to be under. They're supposed to give birth on whatever day, right? So since the mazel, that would be the mazel where they're supposed to give birth, that's when they're going to have help from Shemayim, and going to make they're supposed to give birth on Tuesday, but you want to give birth on Sunday, so you have a Sunday bris, and, who says you're going to have Siyat Shemaya and protection from Kadosh Baruch Hu at that point, and therefore you can't induce. And Ramesh Feinstein is very strong on this. So, by the way, it used to be in the Matzif, I don't know if it's up to date, but it used to be in Eretz Yisrael, they would induce, the Rabbanim were much quicker to induce, to allow a woman to get induced than in America. America used to be much harder. I don't know if that's still up to date, but in America it used to be much harder because that was the stance of Ramosha. Now, once again, so let's just, where I was rolling it before, if it's sakana based, we induce. No questions asked. Now, what about if it's clear-cut convenience? I want a Sunday bris. And you know what? It would be such a chaval to have a baby on Super Bowl Sunday. Who's going to come visit? So, is that okay? So we generally do discourage that. We definitely do discourage that. Now, something's a very common case. The doctors
allow you for an elective induction on the day of your choice anyway.
Oh, in America, for sure you could. Yeah, for sure. Now, a common case is that, I don't know how it works in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know if they let. In America, I'm sure they do. They probably let here also. Now, a common case is the doctor. In America, a woman generally has their doctor. And their doctor needs to show up for their birth. Whenever the woman goes into labor, that's when the doctor has to show up for the birth. So it's not whatever midwife happens to be working that shift.
Work in teams. Getting 3 doctors.
3 doctors to be, okay, fine. So a common thing is the doctor is going on vacation for a week and a half, right? So the question is, could you induce before the doctor goes on vacation? Because the baby's going to be born within the next week and a half, and the doctor's going on vacation, and the doctor's not waiting for you, So could you induce beforehand? So if the woman is going to have much more yishuv hadas by having her doctor and having that doctor, then that's already considered a medical reason to induce, and therefore we would allow it. I'm not saying Ramesh Feinstein would allow it, but I'm saying the poskim at large would allow it. But if it's just no good reason, then use a different doctor. Fine.
Is there anything else, a comparable case where something's going to happen in a particular time? We say that mazolos and you can't change it. You shouldn't.
Well, usually it's not so in our control to change things.
It seems to be a bit of a one-off.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The Ramesh Feinstein is very strong on this, but yeah, fine. So that's the deal.
You have induction Friday?
Oh, so that's a very good question. Is it a good idea to induce on Friday so you don't end up with a Shabbos birth? That's a very good question. Rav Yasher, I think I saw that Rav Yasher said no, you shouldn't induce.
Likely to lead to a Shabbos birth.
Yeah, but that's a Kodesh Baruch Hu's Chil Shabbos, not your Chil Shabbos. You don't have to get involved in a Kodesh Baruch Hu's Cheshbonos.
He's saying no because of Ramosha's reason, though.
Yeah, he holds. Rav Yashiv held of Ramosha's reason, but not to the same extent as Ramosha.
She's a woman's overdue.
Yeah.
And the doctor say you need to.
Oh no, that's already a medical reason.
Exactly.
Why are they saying that? They're saying it because I don't know exactly what, but it's gonna be hard to give birth to a bigger baby, or I don't know what. For whatever reason they say it. I don't know the reason that they say it. Chances of stillbirth, whatever it is, that's a medical reason. That makes sense. Now, what about inducing when the woman's already in labor? So you see the Sfar of Moshe is much weaker. When the woman's ready, so L'maitzer Reb Zilberstein, he quotes a Rokeach, who the Rokeach says you can't use shemis to induce the labor when the woman's already in labor for it to go quicker. So therefore, he says you shouldn't induce when the woman's in labor. L'maitzer Reb Yashiv said it's fine to induce. Once the woman's in labor, then you can induce to speed up the labor. So, okay, we'll be makel with Rav Yashiv.
So
Okay.
The idea is not to move into a different day specifically, or even.
So I was wondering about that. I wasn't clear from Rav Moshe about that point. Like maybe like Rav Moshe, if it looks like it's going, if you have another 18 hours left of that day, and the baby's gonna be born that day anyways, who cares about inducing? I don't know. Moshe was more focused on different days. It wasn't so much like about an 18-hour shtickle. That's why I don't think it was first and Moshe about moving it up when the woman's in labor. It was more planning the birth at a specific day. Okay, fine. I know somebody who the woman is, his wife goes into very quick labors. From when her labor starts till she gives birth is usually around 45 minutes. So they asked the Shaila, and they got a heter to induce because it's very difficult. They barely got to the hospital 2 times in a row. They barely got to the hospital because the second she feels all over, they have to run and do it. So it's very complicated. So for her to induce a little early before she goes into labor, in order that she could actually get to the hospital. Fine. Next, something called Yimei Tuma V'Tahara. It's one of those psukim in the beginning of Tazria that nobody really pays so much attention to. So after a woman gives birth to a boy, she is tummy for 7 days, even if she saw no blood, which is not the Metzias, but whatever. Even if she saw no blood, she would be tummy for 7 days. And for a girl, she would be tummy for 14 days. And then after those 7 days for a boy, from 7 until 40 is something called Yimei Tahara. And for a girl, from the 15th day until day 80 is going to be what we call Yimei Tahara. Now, just one thing that I want to point out, when is this in the Geya, this halacha of the woman being tamei for 14 days after giving birth to a girl? So if a woman had a early miscarriage, right? So she is, just like a birth, you're tamei for 14 days. If that baby was a girl, which we won't know by early miscarriage, so therefore she will be tamei for 14 days. So in the event that she could get a finished bleeding and getting a clean hefsek by the 7th day, by the 6th day, let's say, she would not be able to be toivel until after 14 days. So she cannot start her shiur nikiyah. She could,
Even in the early one.
it's only negaya by early one. After a real birth, women are going to bleed for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever.
By early miscarriage.
By an early miscarriage, so it's 40 days. Here's the thing. A miscarriage that is under 40 days of pregnancy, often you don't know exactly, but if a miscarriage is 40 days of pregnancy, under 40 days of pregnancy, luckily it's not a miscarriage. If it's under 40 days of pregnancy. So under 40 days of pregnancy, no problems, right? Often a woman's barely going to know about it, whatever, at that point, right? Now, after 40 days of pregnancy, once again, if if it's already 3 months, the chances of a woman getting tar in 7 days after a miscarriage after 3 months is unlikely. I'm not saying impossible, but it's unlikely. But when you have a 43, a 44, a 45 day, whatever, so then it's possible for a woman to get a clean bedika earlier than the day 7. Depending, sometimes it's not. I'm not saying it's always possible, but it could be possible. In that case where a woman would get a clean bedika, she is still aser. She could do her shiur nikiyah within those 14 days. It's not a problem. But she can't be toivel until after those 14 days. So that is halacha, which is negeya, and most people don't know it, unfortunately. But that's...
We're choishish, maybe it was a girl.
We're choishish it's a girl, correct. We don't know, it's a suffix, that's true, it's a good point. But we're choishish that it's a girl. Okay. Next point. So these 40 and 80 days, Bizman Gemara, right? If the woman would be after she already did her shiur nikiyah, let's say, somehow she pulled off her shiur nikiyah after, let's say, 4 weeks. After 4 weeks after birth, normal birth, let's say, whatever, normal birth, right? After 4 weeks, she gets shiur nikiyah, she's tevelis, right? And then she sees more blood the next day, 2 days later, whatever it is. So, Bizmana Gemara, within the first 40 days of a boy and 80 days of a girl, that blood is called dam toyer. Bizmana Gemara, tashmish is completely mutter. And you can even touch truma, tashmish is mutter, it's all good. Oh, blood's coming out of her uterus, doesn't make a difference, she's tar. That's dam tar. Okay? The minhag has, it's not a new minhag. This is already bizman rishonim. That the minhag was that because people are going to get confused. So the minhag was already bizman rishonim that we treat even dam tar as dam tamei, and it's a problem. The woman is if the blood's coming out of the woman, we treat her like she's tamei. So that is the din. Now there's a Gemara in Psachim that says that the 41st day after a boy and the 81st day after a girl, that night, tashmish is aser. Some first Gemara in Psachim. Now, most people never heard of this Gemara in Psachim. So what's going on? So the Rashba explains the reason for that gezerah of asering tashmish is that to be mechalak between dam toyer and dam tamei, because they would have tashmish on dam toyer, and you got to know when to stop. So we had to make a day which we asked tashmish to be the differentiating day between dam toyer and dam tamei, because she could be bleeding on day 40 and it's fine, and then when she bleeds on day 41, it's a problem. So we make that day 41 aser b'tashmish. So the Shulchan Aruch L'maisa doesn't bring this Gemara in Psachim of asering tashmish, because once again, it seems to be that the reason behind it is no longer applicable. So the Shulchan Aruch does not bring it. The Taz points out that we're not machmer for this. The Shach says a Baal Nefesh is machmer for this, not to have tashmish 41 after boy, 81 after a girl. Because the gezerah is a gezerah. Correct. The Chachma Sadim and the Kitzer, they bring the Shach. The Shevet Levi says if somebody's machmer for this, it's not a chumer shel shtos. It's a real thing. Now, Fine. That's that.
For Dam Tower, you treat it like with the 5 days and everything, like.
Yeah, we treat it like absolutely normal. Happens to be, if there's sveikus, we'll add it in as a sniff laheter. Like if during a time of Dam Torah, let's say there's a kasem during Dam Torah time, and it's like very debatable, very iffy. It's good to tell the whoever, Rav, whatever. Then, if you see a kasem, suffix gris, suffix not a gris, you could be much more makel if it's Dam Torah. Or if the color's very borderline, you could be definitely much more makel if you're in the time of Dam Torah. But Lamaiso, in general, we are machmered on that. Okay. The Taz brings a minhag of not being table for the first 40 days after a boy and 80 days after a girl. Now, the crazy says, I was mevatel this minhag in my town. They had this minhag, and I was mevatel it. And the Chacham Tzvi as well, he also says, I was mevatel that minhag. So, Lamaisa, the Aruch HaShulchan says that the Taz who brings this minhag, it's not the minhag. So the Achronim are going pretty strong on saying that is not the minhag, and Lamaisa, it's not the minhag. I heard...
Talking about women being told after a miscarriage.
I assume it's after miscarriage as well. We're talking about after a birth. Does it apply after miscarriage? Yeah, l'chayr, I don't see why not. So l'chayr after miscarriage as well, but definitely after birth. But l'maisa, this is not the minhag. I heard that there are certain sects of Yerushalmis, I don't know who's who and what's what, but some of the Yerushalmis aren't toivel for 3 months after birth. And it has something to do with this. So, yeah, I don't know exactly. Fine. This is something interesting. There's an Indian of getting an aliyah on the 41st day after a boy and the 81st day after a girl. I don't think it's the chiyuv of the Gabe to keep track of this. But if you want to tell the Gabe, it's on the list of people that have chiyuvim and aliyahs. So you have a chiyuv of aliyah, 81 days after a girl, you get aliyah. Why not? Okay. If you can remember it, then the Gabe should give it to you. Okay, so let's speak about a couple of non-niddah related halachas to overall pregnancy and childbirth. Now, a pregnancy test should not be taken on Shabbos. It's the l'chayra isser of kosev. One should only daven for the gender of the baby within the first 40 days. So usually that only gives the person a couple of days from when they find out that they're pregnant to daven. Your time expires pretty quick after you find out that your wife's pregnant. You have a short tkufa to daven.
And it should always be a boy, correct?
I don't know. If you have only girls, if you have only boys, you can't daven for a girl. I think you could daven for a girl.
Based on what your personal knowledge, not what the doctor says, how many days the baby is.
Oh, so yeah, you could use your own knowledge. Once again, the doctors, a lot of times they use this funny count from when she became a niddah, which is like no shaykhs. Right. So use your count, not the doctor's count.
Our count starts when?
For tefillah night usually, unless you have reason to assume otherwise. Yeah.
Well, what Daniel's question, he was saying that the Gemara seems to be advising you very strongly to be done for boys.
Yeah, but I think I agree with maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Huh? Sfardim are very, very, very big into it. I don't know. I'm not sure. If you have only boys and you want to be Mekayim and Mitzvah Puravu and you want a daughter, and I don't know. I'm not sure. No idea. Okay. Fine. The Sefer Chasidim brings the minhag that you should daven that you do not give birth on Shabbos. Reb Chaim Pelagi says, don't do that. You have no business to daven that you're not going to give birth on Shabbos because, first of all, it's Hashem's problem. I mean, what do you have to worry about? And whatever, it's not your business, so to speak. The Neta Gavriel, he says that you should daven. And so Rav Vosner says, I never davened for such a thing, that we shouldn't give birth on Shabbos. So, whatever. If you like it, great. If not, whatever. Okay. One thing that people don't know, it's not cool for a pregnant woman to go into a manicure place to get her nails done. Not cool. A manicure, we have the minhag, we're noyig, alpi inyanim, whatever, that cut nails are mazik pregnant women. Mazik the baby in alpi hibi-jibi. So since it's state al pi BGB that the nails are bad for a pregnant lady, therefore a manicure place is not a cool place for her to go. Not cool. There's nail clippings everywhere in a manicure place, so it's just not a cool idea. Just I'm not saying a chiddush. It's just something that not everybody thinks about. Yeah.
Like when I cut my nails at home.
Yeah.
Be
In the
careful.
toilet.
You're careful. Yeah. You should be careful. Yeah. You should be careful.
For this reason.
Yes. Yes.
So they say that wasn't somewhere brought down that you should go in the base marriage and
Yes, there is. The Mishabur brings down that you don't have to be so makbid about your nails in the base marriage because women don't go there. Fine. Huh? Not if you learn the Ez's Nashim. Fine.
You can still get her eyebrows done there.
What, by the manicure place? Don't go into the manicure place. Fine. There's an Indian for pregnant women that's brought by people, whatever. I don't know exactly where it comes from. The pregnant women should not go to the basic forest. So one thing to note, this is not a halacha, it's an Indian. So if there's a major need for her to go, a levaya that she's shaykh to, whatever, she could go. It's not a halacha, it's an Indian. The Hilchos Niddah actually says there's no real makar for this idea of a pregnant woman not going to the basic forest. But I don't know, I'm maybe Hilchos Niddah knew more heebie-jeebie than me. And
a lot of you related to going to the forest.
I'm just quoting. I have no personal opinions on heebie-jeebie. But Hilchos Niddah says there's no makar for this. However, if that's what people say, then you should be machmir for it, because that's what people say. However you take that. Okay. Now, but when it comes to, Kever Rachel, the Rashbi, Meir Baal Nes, these types of places, the minhag is that we're not machmir for this, and women could go there. Fine. Happens to be, by the way, the Shulchan Aruch brings down about a nida not going to a basic kavaris. So that's something that's actually brought in the Shulchan Aruch. Whether people are makbid for it or not, that's a different discussion. But
For her sake or for the sake of the kever?
this is like real heebie-jeebie. The tumah of the mace with the tumah's nida getting mixed together, and it's bad news. I don't know. I don't know. But this is beyond my pay grade.
How about the
Fine.
Zvilla kever? It's like,
Huh?
the Zvilla kever.
Yeah.
It's in like a basic forest, so they kind of like fence it off.
But you could like not really walk through the basic forest when you're going to this villa caver. So I think it should be l'chaira fine. I don't know. I don't know what the cutoff point is. They say like kivrei tzadikim is fine. Like this villa Rebbe was from 100 years ago, 150 years ago, not so long. Whereas like the examples that I just quoted are I don't know the cutoff point. I don't know if this villa is okay or not okay. I just don't know. Okay. Fine. Maybe ask your local makubal. Or local Orthodox makubal. Fine. They don't want to go like one of Madonna's kubbals, you know what I'm saying? Fine. Prenatal vitamins. So there's a whole hawk in general whether you're allowed to take vitamins on Shabbos. Prenatal vitamins you for sure could take on Shabbos. Even if you hold that you can't take regular vitamins, prenatal you could. Because who's the prenatal vitamins for? For the baby. The baby is a chayla, for sure, right? And the baby's a baby, not even born yet baby. So that baby could take vitamins on Shabbos.
So is it part of a series? I'm saying if you're not taking vitamins on a once-off basis, it's going to be a course.
Well, it's a little bit different in terms of that, because vitamins, when it comes to antibiotics, they say it only works when it's in a series, so therefore that's a heter. When it comes to vitamins, it's not working based on the series. So therefore, the series doesn't help you for vitamins. I'm not saying vitamins are a problem. It's a hawk. But if you're going to go with...
your intake of vitamins.
Yeah, if you're going to be makbid on the vitamin shayla, when it comes to the prenatal vitamins, you do not need to be makbid.
And when you're trying to get pregnant also? Take prenatals and Shabbos?
So that's a little bit more... That I would say you don't have this heter. L'chayra. That once again, I'm not saying you could... L'chayra, I think you could probably take vitamins anyways. But there is what to debate on that discussion. Okay. So I would... If somebody wanted to, you could be makel anyways. But this heter that I'm discussing now won't work if the woman's not pregnant. Fine. Can one find out the gender? So... There's no issa, right? I mean, why not? I've heard people claim ein bracha shayled el davar shesam minayin, and therefore you shouldn't find out. I don't know. I don't really get it. It's still you still can't see the baby. Yeah, what do you?
Also you're getting scans anyway, so it's not show.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
only less show.
Yeah. You're taking scans to see the baby. You still can't see the baby without the scan. I don't know. I think it's fine. Okay.
But it's all about bracha being shared. It's talking about a bracha concerning the gender, like if you wanted a boy.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. I agree with the if somebody wants to say that when you're, right after you get your positive pregnancy test, to go post it on Facebook when you're not yet hook or Uber, where you can't see it that the woman's pregnant, and she wants to post it on Facebook, I can understand why somebody would say, Ein bracha shoyled el davar shesam minayin. That maybe you should avoid. But when it comes to gender, I'm not going to here to defend the people that say it, because I don't think it's true. Fine. Fine. So many people are makbid not to buy things for a baby before the baby is born. Why? Because it's ayin hara. It's ayin hara. Now, what if there's a big sale? So you could the $1,000 strollers now. Dan's deal special. You get it for $500. So you could order it, and don't put it in the side room. Put it on the side where nobody's seeing it. No, don't advertise it to the whole world that I just bought this for $500. And therefore, ayin hara is about other people seeing. If other people aren't seeing, so shouldn't be that much ayin hara. Definitely, it's easier to order something on Amazon than to go into the store in the middle of Gula. Maybe But if it's something that not everybody's seeing, so it's not going to be a big ayin hara thing. It should be okay.
And how is like jealousy?
Yes. Connected to jealousy.
Creating.
So you're asking how people would be jealous? Not everybody's such a tzaddik. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not such a good kasha. Unfortunately, that's not a very good kasha.
People with jealousy go about to have a baby. And
Yeah.
and that bad thought kind of.
They see this woman's already buying. Yeah, maybe
And that could have a bad effect on the
Yeah.
birth.
Yeah, correct. Fine. Okay, fine. So let's keep on going. Okay, so 9th month is here. So Mishnah Berurah says that you should have everything prepared before Shabbos. Before Shabbos in the 9th month, you should have everything prepared. So why? Who cares? Why should you have everything prepared? Surely it's pekuach nefesh. If it's pekuach nefesh, I could do whatever the heck I want on Shabbos if it's pekuach nefesh. So why is it a problem? Why do I need to prepare before Shabbos to minimize my isser, is what it sounds like. We're not just talking about general preparation. We're talking about preparing the things that are muksa, the things that have everything prepared. So let's talk about two distinct situations. Yeah, one situation is the woman is, oh my gosh, the baby's coming, we have to get to the hospital. Right? So in such a scenario like that, so that is pekuach nefesh mamish. When it's pekuach nefesh mamish, hustle, run, it's Tuesday. For you, it's Tuesday when it's pekuach nefesh mamish. And therefore, there's no cheshboinus of this is quicker, that's quicker, this is easier, I'm doing less isser. Get to the hospital, whatever the quickest way to get to the hospital, move. Yeah? That's when time is of the essence. Now, the interesting thing about labor and birth is it's a pekuach nefesh matzif where usually time is not of the essence. Usually we have good warning, and time is not of the essence. So when time is not of the essence, we still will be Mechal Shabbos because you need to get there before the end of Shabbos. She goes Friday night into labor, she's going to have to go to the hospital before the end of Shabbos. You will have to be Mechal Shabbos, but time is not of the essence. So if that is the case, so therefore we do as the most limited isurim that we could. So because of those situations, which is normal the situation, the woman should, if you're in a country, you're in a place where they're going to make you register and fill out papers and all that type of stuff. So register and fill out the papers before Shabbos, so you aren't busy trying to, tell the nurse, explain to the nurse, and definitely in other countries
What do they do
that.
in Israel?
Well, in Israel once again, they won't force you to do it. They'll let you take care of it after Shabbos, but it will make your run smoother if you do it beforehand. Because they're gonna have the lady over there. Usually, depending on the hospital, it might be an Arab behind who's typing in, asking all the questions about the baby or figuring it out. It could be a Jew. It depends on which hospital. I don't know so much the Metzias, but you're better off registering beforehand. But Lamaisa, they do take care of you. The hospitals like Shaare Tzedek, you're better off in than the hospitals like whatever it is in Tel Aviv. So it's going to be somewhat dependent on where you are, how much they care. Yeah? Fine. Now, by the way, there's a real thing in the hospitals not being too machmir, because they say Shaare said they used to write things in invisible ink that would disappear within 24 hours, and then after Shabbos they would have somebody copy it over in real ink, and therefore it was a chumrah that they did. But there ended up being mistakes, and they decided it was b'chuch nefesh, and they stopped that process. So whatever. Not for me to figure out, but it's a complicated process. I mean, this is years ago when I'm talking about with writing. Now everything's typed. This is all old story. But yeah, fine. Now, fine. So prepare the bag before Shabbos. In Israel, you should have the number of a Goyish driver in your phone before Shabbos. Don't go start checking it up on Google on Shabbos. You could really, you should have the number before Shabbos and even make it your last dialed number for the non-Jewish driver. In America, you don't have to, search so hard to find the non-Jewish driver. Is it better to call an Uber, or is it better to make a phone call to a car service? It doesn't make a big difference. Probably better to call Uber.
Well, that's how, ladies, she doesn't want an Arab driver.
So if an Arab driver, will infringe on her Yeshiva Das, or is because she's a seller mentality?
Yeshiva does. So
if it's Yeshiva Das, then have a Jew drive. No problem. Now, normal situation, you have a choice, you driving or a taxi. You're better off with a Goyish taxi. You're better off with the Goyish taxi driving. But sometimes it's not practical. Sometimes you need to drive. You're in a place where there's no taxi going to come for a half an hour. Yeah? Not Yerushalayim.
On this side, if your wife wanted a Jewish driver, then it's better to get a religious Jew to drive rather than get phone.
Oh, I heard this is like a schmackahak. I mean, whatever. I heard that I saw this whole shtickle on this. Are you better off with a frum driver or a fry driver? One side was you're better for a fry driver because he's going to be driving around in non-pekuch nefesh. You might as well chap him to do a mitzvah and let him drive in pekuch nefesh. Whereas there was another Rav, I don't remember the names anymore, but there was another Rav says, no, you get a frum driver. The guy who's going to drive around anyways, so he's not driving out pekuch nefesh, he's driving out taxi driving. So therefore he doesn't have the heter of pekuch nefesh. And for him it's just stop driving. Whereas the frum guy, he's going to be driving out pekuch nefesh. Sorry, I don't know. But it's geschmack. Okay, fine. Beseder. Lamaisa, figure it out, get there. Okay, now, on your phone, by the way, turn off your code for your face recognition, your fingerprint, or your whatever code. Turn it off before Shabbos. So if you're going to have to, every Shabbos in the 9th month, so you have to do less to access your phone. On Matzah Shabbos, when you didn't have a baby, turn it back on so your kids don't use your phone when you don't want them to. Okay, good. You got to make sure you got that other point too. Fine. Fine. Now, does she need to rent a room in Hadassah Baby, in Beit Vegan, right next to Shaare Tzedek, wherever it is? Do you have to rent a room for Shabbos? So if you go in labor, you won't be Mechal Shabbos. So you have to limit Chil Shabbos. So it costs money. It's inconvenient. Okay, it was also cost money. It was inconvenient for our grandparents, in America, who had to get fired from their job for not working on Shabbos.
You're also not having a normal Shabbos.
So we get not having normal Shabbos. That's going to be a key point. But the money, I don't know. We spend money on Shabbos. Inconvenience, yeah, we get inconvenience for Shabbos. So does she have to rent this room? So, Lamaisa.
In the hospital?
Hadassah Baby is a hotel right next to the Hadassah in Karen. Or does he have to rent a hotel right there?
She can walk.
Yeah.
It's made for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What fair? You're talking about renting a room in the hospital for every week.
Yeah, I'm asking, does she have to? Shabbos. We don't spend money on Shabbos. Hashem will pay you back also. Fine. So, or maybe she has to go with her 7 kids to stay by her sister-in-law who lives in Bayit Vagan every Shabbos, no? What do you think? So, doesn't sound cool, right? So we say she doesn't have to, right? There's 2 answers why she doesn't have to. One is, because at the end of the day, it's going to be Pikuach Nefesh. And when it's going to be Pikuach Nefesh, the Shabbos is going to be pushed away. So it's not the same thing as our grandparents now ain't going to work on Saturday. And number 2 is that Mefersha when Zaidi was young. Number 2, the Gemara says that has a case if the woman wants you to light a candle when she's giving birth at night, pre-electricity, you're allowed to light a candle. Even if the woman is blind, you're allowed to light a candle. And the midwife says, I don't need a candle. I know what I'm doing. I've done this a million times. You can light a candle for the blind woman who's giving birth. Why? Because it's going to create yishuv hadas for the woman. The woman's going to feel, she's going to be able to see what she's doing. She's going to be comfortable if there's a light, and therefore, even if it's not reasonable.
Tell her that you did like that.
Oh, so I saw that. The women kachap, I heard that question before, but yeah. Listen, you have other senses which are very, in tune to things when you're blind. Okay, so l'maisa, for Yishuv Hadas, there's a makar over here. For Yishuv Hadas, we're allowed to be Mechal Shabbos. You can light a candle, it's a deraisa for Yishuv Hadas. So therefore, it's probably not going to be the most Yishuv Hadas matzav for her to go with her 7 kids to stay by the sister-in-law and by Vagan every Shabbos, you know what I mean? So, or even to rent that room, whatever, so l'maisa, we don't make her do that. On Shabbos, could she call the doula? The midwife, the birth coach. So we say, yes, she could, because once again, that's going to give her Yishuv Hadas. She could do that. Okay, who could go into the car? The taxi, the car, Oh, by the way, one thing for the car, by the way, I forgot to mention. If, let's say, you're not in a taxi situation and you're driving yourself, if you have that neighbor which you're boys with who has a Tesla, it's better to take your neighbor's, or you have 2 cars, whatever, it's better to take your neighbor's Tesla than a gas-powered car. But once again, you don't have to, knock on your door the rabbi said I need your Tesla. What? Who are you? We live down the block. No, not like that. But I'm saying if your close neighbor has a Tesla, your brother-in-law around the corner has a Tesla, you're better off taking a Tesla than taking a gas-powered car. Especially if it has where you just put in the destination and you sit back, you're for sure better off. Yeah, sure, they got those. They're not legal in Israel. In America, they have them. I've been in it. Fun.
Again, if she, you have to ask her, is the doula very important to you?
Yeah.
And if she says, I prefer, but it doesn't make a big difference, then you...
If it's going to give her Yishuv Hadas. From the way that you just described, I prefer, that sounds like it will create Yishuv Hadas.
That's enough for Malach on Shabbos, then.
Yeah. If she says, I didn't really need to do it anyways, then okay, fine, and save your money also. I don't know how it works. I don't know the payment schedule. But whatever, But if she wants it, then you call the doula. So coming along in the car, so who else could go in the ambulance? So interestingly enough, Moshe Feinstein says the husband should try to convince the wife that you can manage without me and limit the Hilchos Shabbos. He's not giving birth to a baby. He doesn't need to go, even though he wanted him in the delivery room. But when it comes to Hilchos Shabbos, because that's where Moshe said there's no Isser. Over here, there's Hilchos Shabbos.
Where's the extra Hilchos Shabbos?
The extra gasoline that's being burnt carrying the weight of the husband.
It's negligible.
Yeah. Whatever. It's, ain't gonna drive on Saturday. I don't know. So, that's what Ramosha says. L'maisa, it's a big chiddush. None of the place can go this way, like Ramosha. And we say that the woman's going to have this much greater Yishuv Hadas with the husband there, and therefore the husband should go. The Chazon Ish was very strong in saying the husband should always go. And it happens to be in Eretz Yisrael, it's pashut, the husband has a chiyuv to go. Because when you go to a hospital, I had my wife giving birth in America, and in Eretz Yisrael. It's not the same experience. In America, there's the baby's wing. There's 2 nurses for 12 babies that were born in the hospital over the last 2 days in some hospital in Long Island. You go to Sherry Tzedek, there's 2 nurses and 70 babies. And it's a different experience. You know what I'm saying? So when you go to the hospital in Eretz Yisrael, the husband needs the lady who's giving birth needs a representative who's a lawyer and a politician. And, okay, it's her turn to go in now. Hello, anybody here to care for her? Too many laughs over here, right? So that's the Metzias over here. So, you're going to be there, and then there's going to be some Arab lady who came with 30 family members, the whole tribe coming through. And who are they going to take first? So you have to be sitting there by herself, dying, and they're just going to go next, because other people screaming louder. So it's Pashut, the Metzias, is she needs a representative there, somebody to use his elbows to get her into that delivery room. And that's just the Metzias that is for sure necessary. Okay, Mazel Tov, it's a boy, the baby's born. The Sefer Chassidim says you first say thank you Hashem, and then you say thank you midwife. But don't thank the midwife before you thank Hashem. That's Sefer Chassidim says. Huh?
Includes reading all Nishmas.
Reading Nishmas.
Can people say that now?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Apparently there's a minhag. I'm saying Nishmas. I don't know. Okay, fine. Okay. Now, general Ashkenazi minhag is that for a boy you make a teva meitiv, and for a girl you make a shechianu. And until when could you make that bracha? So as long as the simcha is still fresh. So, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, as long as the simcha is still fresh, then you could make that bracha. Till the first diaper, maybe. Definitely till the bris, you could for sure make it, because that's still, happening. You can't say till the kiddush, because some people make the kiddush, when, they're, 37. So... But whatever, I don't know. So that's how long you have to make it. You judge for yourself. A lot of people make it right away, right after the baby's born, 3 minutes later. God's fine, God's nice. The nicer you have as long as the baby's fresh. And thank you for listening.